just first of all, a question, the Montessori, it's kind of small, but I'll read it real quick. The Montessori method of instruction. In 1906, Dr. Maria Montessori, an Italian educator, physician in science, who had judged an international competition on the subjects of scientific pedagogy and experimental psychology, was invited to create a child care center in San Lorenzo, a poor inner city district of Rome. There she would be working with some of the area's most disadvantaged and previously unschooled children. She opened the doors on January 6, 1907, calling the center Casa dei Bambini, Italian for Children's House. Dr. Montessori was determined to make the Casa a quality educational environment for these youngsters, whom many had thought were unable to learn, and she did. While the children were unruly at first, they soon showed great interest in working with puzzles, learning to prepare meals and clean their environment, and engaging in hands-on learning experiences. Dr. Montessori had observed that before long, the children exhibited calm, peaceful behavior, periods of deep concentration, and a sense of order in caring for their environment. She saw that the children absorbed knowledge from their surroundings, essentially teaching themselves. Utilizing scientific observation and experience gained from her earlier work with young children, Dr. Montessori designed a unique learning materials for them, many of which are still in use in Montessori classrooms today, and created a classroom environment that fostered the children's natural desire to learn. So news of the school's success spread, and then she opened a second and third one. So that's just a little bit, in the link there is just where I got the information. And so at Sunset here in Lubbock, I think they had a Montessori class for pre-K and kinder, and then it went away for a while, and then our previous children's minister, Libby German, got K, and then another roommate of ours that now lives in Dallas, to start it back up again. And Libby's dad had made a lot of the activities, and we still use some of those activities for the Montessori class. So they really started it back up, and we offer a Montessori class for pre-K and kinder, but we also offer the traditional class for pre-K and kinder. So parents have a choice, and it's also nice that, you know, a lot of times parents will hold their kids back in kindergarten, so they can do the Montessori 1 year, and then they can go do the traditional in another year. So that kind of helps with that too. So we do send out because people aren't, and we're not formally trained in the Montessori, but we've just learned from Libby, and I've learned from Kay, and done a little research on our own. But we do send out. We want to click on that. Maybe if you may need to escape, go back, and then go back up. So our parents, not that one, the next one. I mean, a lot of people aren't familiar with the Montessori methods. Maybe not. Okay. Let me see. Let me just see if I can get this or not. See if it'll work. I just got it. Okay, so we do send out a letter, and they ask, would you like your child in Montessori? Would you like them in the traditional? So I just give kind of an overview again of what the Montessori, so go back up to that paragraph. It's a revolutionary method of observing and supporting the natural development of the children. Authentic Montessori educational practice helps children develop creativity, problem solving, critical thinking, time management skills, care of the environment and each other. And it can prepare them to contribute to society and to become fulfilled persons. So the basis of the Montessori practice in the classroom is individual choice of research and work and uninterrupted concentration. Group lessons or lectures by an adult are seldom found in a Montessori classroom, and learning abounds and children remember what they learned. So I just give an overview of that, of what is going to be going on in the Montessori classroom, because it looks a lot different than your normal traditional class. So the structure of the Montessori classroom, and we have a few pictures at the end, but there's no tables except for one. All the activities are done on the floor. So each student, again, is greeted by name as they enter the classroom. And then they're reminded, because they're 4 years old and 5 years old, they have to be reminded, we have little carpet squares to pick out a carpet and a spot on the floor. We use the little Velcro sit spots on the floor, so that, because if we don't, then they'll all be like right here.
Or right in the
together.
doorway.
Yeah. So we put those and they take their carpet to that spot, and then they're reminded to pick out an activity to begin work on. So we have beginning activities and we have the story activities. And let me see what my next one is. So our beginning activities, when we first started, we only introduce one story per week. So there's, 4 kids in the class, there's just one activity for them to work on. So we have some simple beginning works that we call them, and they just have simple activities. And then they have a Bible verse. So this one is just a little Elmo puzzle. And then they do that activity, and then they ask one of the teachers to read the Bible verse to them. And we found them as ABC Bible verses.
Bible verse.
So this one is D. We can talk about the letter D, and then we read the verse, read where it's from, and then they put it back. And the beginning works don't really have a place to go. They just go put it back on a shelf and get another one to work on. And they're just all sorts of different activities for those beginning works. They're nothing real hard or anything on those. So the story activities is where each student is called to the one table that's in the classroom to learn the new activity and the new Bible story. So the teacher, and then in the Montessori classroom, we have about 6. And when you have that many, you need probably at least 3 teachers because of the activity, all the activity that's going on the floor, and they finish this and they need somebody to read to them. I think Kay now has 10 or
about 9 or 10.
9 or 10 every week. So, and she has 2 helpers, and it's us 2, and then my son usually helps us. So you do need bodies, adult bodies, or teenagers that are in the room to help you. So my mom does the news story each week. So for example, let me get this one over here. So that each one of them, we put them in a basket, and then we number it. This is number 1. So what she does is she goes through and she has the Bible there, and she reminds them what the Bible is, how many parts are in the Bible, where do our stories come from, and the pre-K come from the New Testament. And then they are about to hear the story about God's word, and then she shows them where the story is, like in the actual Bible, because we want them to know that even though it's going to be on a little story, like a little comic strip, it's coming from the Bible. So then the teacher reads from, and usually it's something like this. They don't print these anymore, unfortunately, but we've looked around, we figure there's something out there that would be similar, and we don't even know what these are called right now, but we know they don't print them anymore. So she would read that to them. It goes across. This is an Old Testament one, the Tower of Babel. And then they would just listen to the story. Usually we do the story first and then the activity. So for example, and I'm gonna let y'all come do some of these later. This one is an older one we've had for a while. And so they stack it for the Tower of Babel. And it also has the story on it too. That's what they like to do too. Just drop it, especially the boys. So they do that activity, and then after they're done with that, they go back to their carpet, and then my mom or Kay in her class calls the next person over to do the new story. So they'll go back after they've done this one, and they will start work on another story, or if they were in the middle of one, they'll just pick up from where they were then. So, like I said, the activities are not necessarily Bible related. Some of them are. This is the old one too. This is our first one that we introduced for the pre-K one. It's like the main stories that we go through of Jesus's life. And then this is a puzzle that our former children's minister, her dad, made. So they put the puzzle, they match the pictures on top of here and put the puzzle. This is one they don't master. They don't know this one for themselves for a while because it takes a lot of work to get that one mastered. So, but a lot of them, they work on learning to read skills, sorting skills, counting skills, alphabet skills. It helps them get ready for school also. And we try to be pretty intentional and specific about how they do their activities. They can play with them too. I mean, a lot of them, they just want to play with them, but we try to be intentional. And if you want to get a sticker for this story, we want you to do the activity also. So, you know, I may have said some of this. So, yeah, while one student is with the teacher learning the new activity and story, the others are working on activities of their choice. So, and this is where the beginning works. So in the first 6 weeks of class, there are beginning works that have a simple activity, like I showed you a Bible verse, and they're used because we just need those activities. And then they can be put away as more new stories are introduced. So we'll slowly start putting away the ones that they always tend to go to and spend a lot of time with, and they don't need to be spending that much time. So we'll start putting those away the more Bible stories we get out. So the students spend about 45 minutes. Let me find where I am here. Sorry. Working on their stories and activities and learning the new story and activity. And of course, it depends on how many you have. Like Kay had like 10 the other day, and it took the whole time just to get everybody through the new story. So, at the end of the 45 minutes, students put away the activity and story they are working on and put up their carpet. And this goes back to some of that cleaning up and being responsible for putting their things up. And then we usually sing, we come to the Velcro lines, and we'll have a picture of that. And then we start singing. And that was, and if you weren't in here earlier, we can give you a copy, but that's this songbook that we use. I think most of you are in here. So if not, we have a copy of these songs. So we let them sit on the line. They each can choose a song. We let them each pick a song. And then usually once they've all picked a song, I will sing, because we're the New Testament stories. I sing the New Testament songs, and then I have my son who's in there say a prayer at the end of the class, and then hopefully the parents can pick them up. So, but it is about 45 minutes of, because our classes are an hour, and so it's 45 minutes of, you know, some of them are getting in there late too, so of doing all the activities, and then, but they know that routine. They know the routine. So here are some pictures of our classrooms. This one over here is the kindergarten one right here. We moved classrooms, and so this one didn't have a closet. So all those are activities that she pulls out every week. And then underneath in the cabinets, they're full of activities too. We have 48, I think, stories that we do. This one is the pre-K classroom, and you can see the dots on the floor, and then the green lines are where they come to sit, and those are the songbooks up there. And then the one table that's in the classroom where they come over to do the news story. And a lot of times if they're hesitant to come in, like, ooh, you can do the news story first. And then I'm like, okay. So they get right in there. So you want to go to the next one? So here are some of them with their activities. Like we got these shelves at IKEA. They got us new shelves. Like the other ones were just, somebody had built them, I think. Probably Libby's staff. And they got us some new shelving. So we put the number of the story on the shelf, and the number is here. So we try to say, okay, do you see this number? Do you see this number on the shelf? Go put it. That's part of teaching them how to be responsible.
Do y'all have all the pieces inside the box number too? That way all the pieces to each activity you put back?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, and they have to put everything back in the basket. Some of them mainly in the pre-K, we have 2 of each story. So sometimes they want to pick it all up, and you have to teach them, no, just one basket and then go to your carpet. But then, yeah, they have to put it all back in and then take it back. So it is a lot of thinking on their part too. Go ahead and go to the next one. Others. So he's looking at the number there. See if he's got it in the right place. And that puzzle, go back one. The puzzle over here that he's working on is the first one for the kindergarten.
And it's kind of like an overview as well of all the stories we'll do throughout the year.
So, and that's their first one. And then they have if you see in this picture here, they have a Noah's Ark that was made a long time ago. And that one has to be put up a lot because
that's a favorite for
they all want to play with that one, even after they've told the story. They love Noah's Ark. And this is, just some more. This one over here, this would be a beginning work. We just have some simple puzzles for some of the beginning works. Okay, so I need to talk about this one on this right here, the purple. So one of the points of goals of the Montessori class is for them to master these stories. They can tell them to you on their own. And a lot of our pre-K kids like, I can't read. I'm like, I know you can't read. You're gonna just tell me the story. So
and we don't expect it to be word for word, like just in their own words.
Yeah.
What's happening in the story.
And the first time they do it, they do it with her and they just listen to the story most of the time. When we do it with them the first time, when they've chosen it on their own, like the next week, and we have them repeat the story. And some of them are like, so it takes them a while to get comfortable, but then they do it again, and they may not master it the first time, and that's fine. They just go and work on something else. You can ask them, do you want to do this again? Do you want to try again? And they may say no, and that's fine. That's part of that independent choice that they have, and they go put it back on the shelf. So, but when they do master it, then they get to put a sticker on their chart, and the charts may stay blank for 3 or 4 weeks because it does take a little time for them to get used to it. But when they do, we have the charts there on the bulletin board, and then we have one of those little pockets with stickers on it. So they get to go put a sticker, and we have to help them find their name and find the number, and then they get let me see. We just have black and white copies we send home, and we don't send home take home every week, because if they don't master a story, then they don't get anything. There are weeks that we're like, okay, we feel bad because everybody mastered a story but this kid, so we'll give them a copy of the new story. But if parents know that they have mastered a story because they have this with their name on it and a sticker. So we tell that, I think, in our introductory letter also. So we'll tell them. And then when they come pick them up, we tell them too. They mastered the story. They should be able to tell it to you pretty much with little prompting on their own. So if they have a page with a sticker and their name on it, then they know that story. And I mean, we've heard from parents, it's like they can tell us all the stories. I mean, they really do. Sometimes I think we question whether it's working or not.
Yeah, well, and
But-
recently, our new children's minister, she was teaching a Bible class on like a Wednesday night. And I guess maybe she was, I don't know if she was just, I think she may have just been talking about something. And one of the boys was like, oh, I've seen that before. And like, he was in my Montessori class and he was in hers. So he had literally seen it in our stories, you know, and she was like, that was a very Montessori thing for him to say. She got that he had actually seen that, like he knew he was seeing that in his head, that story. And he was able to kind of tell her, you know, what was going on. So it's really neat to see them be able to tell those stories.
And then, I had something and I lost it. Oh, then some of them, like in pre-K, they can read, but they don't know what they're reading. So, you know, just because they're reading it doesn't mean they're understanding. So what I have to do is we want them to, the point is to understand and know the story. Yeah, I just cover up the words. I'll say, tell me what's happening here. And then they look at me like, I don't know. But, you know, they can read the words, but just internalizing, comprehending what they mean, they don't know. So sometimes, you know, you might be like, wow, he really, or she really knows this. And then, but you stop and ask them some questions to make sure they really are comprehending that. So this one over here is a picture of the kindergarten room, same concept. It's very, you know, just plain, and we all sit on the floor. We do have, you can't see them, I should have taken pictures of them, but one of our helpers requested, because we sit on the, well, yes,
We sit on the floor.
we sit on the
again.
floor with them. But now I got these little chairs that have a little cushion and a little back, and so it gives us a little support for that. She's like, can we have that? So there's the carpet squares that they come in and get, and then we ask them to put them back where they did them. And that's just another picture of
Yeah,
it.
usually we have like all the beginning works kind of on one side to start with, and then as we start telling the actual stories, they go on another side of the room where those actually start.
And there will be those kids that get all 48 stickers, and sometimes they'll have caught up and they've done all of them, but they do them again and they just tell the stories again. So they're still practicing those skills, and they're still telling you, they're reinforcing those Bible stories. So I brought several, and I'll pass them around. You can look at the stories and the activities, like this is, see, the New Testament stories are a lot simpler.
And that's pre-K.
This is pre-K.
And when they get to kindergarten, they get a little harder. Some of them are pretty hard stories.
And so we have like an ABC puzzle, but they don't just put it, you know, willy-nilly. You know, we make them do A, B, C, do it in order. And that's, you know, frustrating for them sometimes. We do have some newer activities, like this one is sorting rocks. They love that. And then they can also, the rocks stack on top of each other, and they love that. So then we have this one, which is like a rainbow. It's an older one, but it's one of my favorites. So they have to do it in a pattern. So they have to start with the green, and then they have to put and they're put on, sorry, yeah, these. So they put these, and then they have to go to the red, and then they just make the whole thing. They're like, oh, it's the sun. But you know, they have to do it in that order. So, and then we have some puzzles that spell out words and a picture of them. And then we just have simple things like, we have been blessed to be able to get some new activities, but this is just stickers, and that it was for another activity, but we just have them then put stickers onto all the blank circles on here, which they like to play with those. So I'll just hand out some of these if you want to look at them, and then, hey, do you want to over there just?
Can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
Do your kids come pretty regularly?
Yes.
What do you do with disappointment, like if a kid doesn't come very much, they're gonna be behind everybody else.
Yeah, it's not really a problem.
They don't
they just-
even notice, or
They just
don't-
come in
They
and
just come in still. do
once
their
they
thing.
start seeing other people getting stickers,
Then
Yeah, then they kind of get
motivates them.
motivated to.
yeah, so, but it's not really a problem. And most of the ones that we have are pretty regular, so. Oh, that's a good question, yes. So it works great for any special ed or disabilities. We had a student that, he's autistic, I think, and he had never been to Bible class because they couldn't leave him. And so he came to, ours was the first Bible class he came to. And he did, I mean, we had maybe one day out of the year, one Sunday that he couldn't handle it. But that was one. And, you know, because they can they have more freedom. And these activities really connect with them in a way that maybe just sitting in another traditional Bible class wouldn't. So it's great for those. And we have some now even that, you know, they just can't sit still. And this helps them. They can roam around, they can go get their stuff. Now, we still have to do a little bit of the get your thing and sit down. But it helps them for that.
You all do the starting one. What we did, is we had basic lessons with the entire Bible already worked up. And so until we started filling the other cells, after you've gone through some lessons. But they were still getting some really basic, lessons, and that worked really
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So, I mean, even some of those were repeat what our normal lessons were,
Yeah.
but it was real basic lessons, so it wasn't the first necessarily.
Right.
But that worked really well.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's
And that,
too.
they learned those lessons
Really well.
really well.
Yes.
But they were key lessons.
Yes.
That was
That's
good.
good. Yeah.
And then when we saw that they were always choosing that one because the activity is, we switched the activity around on the other one.
Oh, yes. There's some, we have one that they spoon beads from one bowl to the other.
Yeah.
Now it starts to drive me nuts. It's like number 2 or something, and I'm like, we're done. Everybody's told number 2, we're done. They put them in alphabetical order.
Yes, and it
On
can
the-
be,
They
like,
should match the colors.
yes, the colors match, I think, yeah. So like A is on one side, they go with that color, and on the other side.
So we're
And
And then we got, this is one of our new ones, we haven't put it in anything, but this is the matching one. Obviously, we haven't done anything, I can't even get it open. I put it in one.
So as they're doing this activity, they're reading a story.
After they.
So finding the activity doesn't.
It doesn't teach them to match. No, it's more of an educational, like getting ready for school.
Okay.
We have a few, like the Tower of Babel matches. Yeah, we have Noah's Ark that matches. But most of them are just educational time. Yes, yeah, yeah. Like I think of something and then it just.
Okay, no,
But, yeah.
What y'all are doing? Let me open this. Yes. Faces.
Well, we'll fit these away. And I think we have the same place. So, yes, we have some extras.
wanna try?
We have a lot.
Switch around.
Right. We will only have 2 teachers,
Uh-huh.
and at most we'll have like 12 kids.
That's very
It's very
far.
rare. But whenever that happens, we've got a wide program. We have 4-year-olds through second grade. We work with the second graders and then help them with the
I
kids.
think so.
Do good with it, get stuff
I
out.
think so, because if I'm gonna do it with them,
Yeah.
especially if it's an activity, and they can read the story to them, absolutely. There's sometimes when mom is sick or one of us isn't there, and you have to just make do, like,
Yeah.
hey, just go put that one up, you look at the story, we're not gonna read it right now, but sometimes the other kids in the class know the story,
Yeah.
so they can tell it, even at the same age, they can tell it to them.
So we're training them
And
up.
okay, Morgan, tell like the story, because there's only me, just two of us. But where'd you get the rocks? I don't know. I know. That was, I think it may have been. We had somebody donate some stuff. And that was, yeah, they and just watch.
But is this one?
Yes.
Yeah, oh, we have all these laws.
No, And one activity in Kay's class, we just got a new rainbow wooden puzzle because we were able, like I said, to get some newer activities, but they
Which
also
one is that?
they make a
Oh,
rainbow.
yeah.
So she does the story of
I didn't see the eggs.
after the flood, and they, make a rainbow. This is one of their favorites.
Oh, yeah, they love to glue.
Two. This was just in the class, and I went up to get stuff last week, and so I was like, oh, I'll take that.
They love to glue and make their rainbow.
Yes, so that's a popular one also, but, they keep telling that story, and a lot of times we will guide them and say, okay, you've done this story. Have you told this story? You've told it like 5 times. Let's find one that you need to work on,
You need a sticker.
and then you can come back if you want to do this one later.
And I've had kids that were able to tell another
Yes.
child.
Yes, I was
Oh,
just
yes.
telling them, sometimes one of us will be sick, or when there's only 2 of us and there's, 6 kids, so we can't get to everybody, but I was saying, okay, Morgan, you know this story, tell it to Lakin, help her out, so yes. And even at the pre-K level, or the one that can read but doesn't understand it, go ahead and read it,
Yeah.
You're gonna get it eventually, so.
And they get very used to the routine and, at first they might be hesitant to do the repeating the story back and forth, but once they get, even the ones that do pre-K Montessori and then come straight to me, they sit down and, I say the first part and they're repeating it right after me. And, that's really neat to watch. It's very self-paced. It's very different, but there's a lot of kids who just thrive on that. And
We have a
fun
lot
to
of
watch
boys. Although in our pre-K, we just have one boy, but the one that we sent up to her, we have a lot of boys on, they have a lot of energy, and those were some of the pictures that I had up there of them, but they all know the routine, and it is good for those that, can't necessarily sit in a chair for an hour, and I know in the other traditional, they do other stuff, they're up and down too, but it just gives them a little more freedom, and their brain doesn't have to focus on, okay, I have to be following all these expectations right now.
Just a good option for different classes.
And it can get a little chaotic. Yeah, just a little, but that's part of it too. So,
And then you have the ones that, oh, well, I want to do that activity, so I'm gonna sit with them for a little while. And I'm like, no, go to your carpet. Yeah, but it's a fun class to teach.
and one other thing, I mean, the parent communication is just so that they know what's going on, because they're seeing probably the traditional students come out with all this, handouts and papers, and just to let them know that your child's gonna get some. Sometimes they'll do 3. I mean, they get going, sometimes they get inspired, and they'll do 3 in a class period. And they're like, how many? I did 3. And so, sometimes they may come out with none, sometimes they may come out with 3. So, but they do like inspire each other to start getting those stickers. And like, I think Caroline was asking it, do the ones that don't get them and aren't there often, does it bother them? And it doesn't. I mean, they just come in we had one that just came very sparingly because he came with his grandma, and sometimes he could come, sometimes he couldn't, but he probably didn't. He got 1 sticker, I think, but he would just come in and go get an activity and do it. So it's, they support each other too, I think, in the classroom.
What age did you start the Montessori?
We started at pre-K,
Pre-K?
Yeah. and we only do pre-K and kindergarten at Sunset.
And that's if they need to stay back.
Yes. Yeah,
So that's a good age to do it, because that way, yeah, like my son, he wasn't ready to start kindergarten, and so he did Montessori kindergarten and then did regular kindergarten.
Yeah,
So
we
that's
had-
good.
One do, I think, one did, I don't know, I don't know what he's done, but he's done both regular.
Yeah.
Pre-K, Montessori, now he's doing Montessori, I'm not sure what he's doing, but,
Seems like we have him every year.
yeah. But he does well, he's got some,
Yeah, he's got lots of energy too, so
Yeah.
it's good for him.
so, and you just have to have that mindset that it's not gonna look like a traditional Bible class, and it is gonna be a little chaotic, but in the end,
And the kids are really good about waiting. If all the teachers are busy telling the stories to someone else, they're very good about waiting, and they know, okay, they're telling the story then, and, it's my turn, she'll come to me, or,
Is it hard, because they've been in traditional classes until
Right.
the parent chooses, is it hard for them to address, because they've been in traditional and then the
it's,
parent chooses, we're gonna do Montessori?
it's a little bit of a different thing, they have to get used to,
I'm
like,
sure it is a little different.
there's coming in, like, there's nowhere to sit.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we just do a lot of guidance then, we take them to get a carpet, take them to their dot and come over here and show them the activities they
But
can
it's
choose
like they're all
from.
new, they're all new to the activities and stuff, so they're all kind of learning
At the
together
same
too.
So it doesn't take them very
No, I
long.
was gonna say, I feel like they adjust really quickly.
They
What
do
about
too.
going afterwards, back to regular traditional, is it difficult?
I
She
guess not.
She said one that was in, pre-K and kinder Montessori, and now he's in, well, he may still be doing kinder,
Yeah,
so he's in the traditional, but I think he's, doing fine.
he's one that, he did very well in Montessori. And so I think grandmother was kind of concerned about him going to a regular one. But I think they transition fine. It's just, that's what it is now.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and if you have them doing a traditional on Wednesday night and then
yes, they
Montessori
still are
Sunday morning,
getting,
if they're
right.
coming to both, they're
Right.
figuring out there's a difference that
Right.
they can do both.
Right.
Yes, that is true too.
Yeah.
And we do have, I just saw I had this, we have another folder, but I didn't bring it, but it has the story for the lesson that you do on Sunday morning, and it tells you what you do with the activity. But then we also have a Wednesday night, but we just don't have the teachers, and not as many kids come on Wednesday night.
Yes, I think
So
that's
we
right.
haven't done a Wednesday night in a long time, but like they do an application lesson on Wednesday night if they were doing it. So like this one was Jesus is tempted was the story. So they said you'll need a loaf of bread and a chair. You set the loaf out as you tell about the first temptation. Ask a child to stand on a chair as you tell about temptation to jump off the temple. Hold the child up on a classroom table. This is a little dangerous. This is obviously I haven't read this. Hold up in class, Jesus surveying the earth and being tempted to worship the devil. And then you talk about, can we encourage each other to do right? If someone is encouraging you to do wrong, what should we do? Tell the time when someone encouraged another person to do right. And then you can also do the stories but there was an application letter or
At some point, I think they did kind of use those.
Yeah.
applications.
I think when they first started, they maybe did it on Wednesday night also, but it was, you just try to do a little bit something different with it. That's interesting. So, we do have did anybody not get the song book?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
First session.
And they're gonna, Kay and my mom are gonna try to put it,
Here, we'll try to get a video put on all hands.
Yay.
oh, and we need to give cards if you're in here
With
with
all
the.
the songs. You need one, Carolyn?
Yes, thank you. She does too. If you have
Where do you- Did anybody not get a Mom Grant's Bible Story Time card? This is their YouTube channel. It has,
And you did say you had 173 videos. right?
yeah, that's what he
Somebody
said.
was repeating that at lunch and I said, no, I don't think they said 73. I think they said 173.
173 videos and 57
There's
subscribers.
quite a
Yes.
few videos on there.
If anybody would want to subscribe, it will make her son very happy.
He likes it when he sees.
Yes.
My card must have fallen.
Oh, we got plenty of cards. So,
Got cards.
anyway, any other questions or comments or?
Yeah, do we get to come and get a little tutorial from Kay about how to sing something?
Yeah, she's gonna put it on YouTube.
I'm gonna try to put them
I'll
on
put it on
YouTube.
YouTube.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'll put it
Yeah,
on
with
the.
sing-along
Oh.
words at
Oh.
the bottom. Just kidding.
How about that?
An Old Testament song.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I got the New Testament, the Old
We
Old
do,
Testament.
we got that one. We'll put it on the
Yeah.
channel.
I'm just learning that one this year too, so
Okay.
I'm getting better at it.
We had a friend that could do it like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, We Sing is on Spotify and they have the Old Testament and the New Testament song on there.
Yeah.
We Sing, W-E-E.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you have Spotify, you just look it up. Cause I
What is
teach
it
my
on?
baby that.
Yeah.
It's called We
Yeah,
Sing, W-E-E, and then Sing, and it has Only a Boy Named David,
Oh, yeah.
Who Built the Ark,
Mhm.
all of those songs.
Yes.
Okay.
So we
Well,
will
sorry, that
try
was
to-
just 30 minutes, but was that